How many times have you felt that unsettling sense that time is just slipping through your fingers, speeding up for no apparent reason? Or maybe you've felt your vital energy mysteriously fade away, like something invisible was draining your strength. Perhaps you've had that strange feeling that life is moving in the opposite direction of your deepest intentions, as if reality had a will of its own and just didn't care about your desires. It's curious, even though we live in an age of unlimited knowledge, very few people are able to notice the silent, subtle patterns shaping our daily experience. But here's the thing, learning to recognize those patterns can change everything. Even when life feels chaotic, it actually follows simple, profound principles. Not ones made up by people, but principles rooted in the very structure of nature. The body, the mind, and the spirit. And once you begin to understand those principles, what used to feel confusing and distant starts to fall into place. Not because the world has changed, but because your way of moving through it has. There are 4 core principles that not only explain the flow of existence, they also reveal how you can consciously influence time, energy, and even reality itself. This isn't about magical formulas or esoteric tricks. It's about reconnecting with something you've always known deep down, but maybe just forgot. And maybe all you needed was someone to guide you back to that wisdom. The number 4 carries a special, almost mystical energy. It shows up quietly but consistently in so many areas of life. The 4 seasons of the year, the 4 directions that guide space, the 4 major phases of the human journey. It's not just a random pattern, it's a kind of code, a subtle signature that reveals a much deeper order beneath what seems like chaos. That order isn't just out there in the world, it's also inside us, in our internal processes, in our cycles of growth, in the transformations we go through. Everything unfolds in phases, in stages. And the number 4 stands out as a point of balance that holds these transitions together. When we start to see this, a quiet, almost invisible intelligence begins to reveal itself and guide us. Many ancient cultures already knew this secret. The medicine wheel, for example, used by the indigenous peoples of North America, organizes life into 4 directions, 4 elements, 4 aspects of the self. And this wasn't just symbolic, it was a real practice, a deep way of living. They understood that true wisdom isn't about trying to control the outside world, but about aligning yourself with the natural flow of life. Now think about your daily routine. How many times have you felt disconnected, even though you're always busy? The answer might lie in what you've been neglecting. Your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit, each one of these is essential. When one of these parts gets pushed aside for too long, your whole system starts sending out signals, silent cries for attention. The good news? You can start applying this awareness in simple, immediate ways. Just take a look at your day and ask yourself, am I nurturing all the seasons of my being? Does my routine allow time for physical rest? Is there space for meaningful emotional connections? Where is the inspiration that fuels my creativity and action? And most importantly, do I have moments of silence and reflection? You don't have to change everything overnight. What really matters is bringing a new quality of presence to the little things. A quiet cup of tea at night, a conversation that touches your heart, a book that stirs something new inside you, a conscious pause just to breathe. The key is understanding that we're not separate from the world around us. The same structure that shapes the seasons of the year also shapes the inner cycles of our lives. And when you align yourself with that natural rhythm, you no longer need to fight against the current. Answers begin to show up with more clarity, choices become more aligned, and everything starts to flow with far less resistance. Understanding the power of the number 4 is like finding an internal compass, not to control life, but to move through it with more awareness and ease. And this is just the beginning. Because if you look closer, you'll see that this code shows up in science too, and even in the biology within your own body. While science and spirituality might seem like separate worlds, there are surprising moments when they meet. And one of those points of connection is the number 4. Modern science reveals 4 basic building blocks of DNA, 4 states of matter, 4 fundamental forces that govern the physical universe. It might sound technical or far off, but this pattern jumps out and invites us to realize that life, at its core, is far more symbolic than we often imagine. These 4 scientific pillars also speak of balance and interaction. The bases of DNA pair up in complementary matches, showing us that life is built on cooperation and harmony. The 4 states of matter, solid, liquid, gas, and plasma, demonstrate how energy takes on different forms depending on its vibrational frequency. All of this resonates with ancient teachings about transformation, presence, and flow. We're not just talking about biology here, we're tapping into a universal language. In spirituality, the 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and air, represent essential aspects of human nature and reality itself. Interestingly, they align perfectly with scientific discoveries. Fire with plasma, water with the liquid state, air with gas, and earth with the solid. Is that just a coincidence? Or could it be the expression of an invisible order that runs through everything? This is where the possibility of true integration is born. Spirituality doesn't have to be an escape from reality, and science doesn't need to dismiss what it can't yet explain. When we begin to see that both speak about the same reality, just in different languages, a whole new horizon opens before us. A broader awareness, a new way of living. And this journey is only just beginning. On the other hand, there's an even more powerful possibility: integrating science and spirituality, using that knowledge as a tool to better understand yourself and the world around you. If you pay close attention, you'll notice that cycles of healing, learning, and even personal habit change all follow a subtle pattern, one that unfolds in 4 fundamental phases. First comes recognition, that moment when something awakens your awareness. Then comes emotional processing, where you allow your emotions to flow and be understood. Next is transformative action, the practical step that breaks old patterns. And finally, expanded awareness, a state where you grow and become more the whole. This cycle, repeated in nearly every process of inner evolution, is the key to real autonomy. The more conscious you become of it, the more empowered and free you'll feel. And here's the fascinating part. When science begins to identify patterns that spirituality has honored and respected for thousands of years, it feels like we're not really discovering anything new. We're simply remembering something ancient, just speaking it in a different language. This meeting point between reason and intuition might just be the gateway to a whole new level of understanding, one that values both what can be measured and what can only be felt in the silence of your soul. What makes this connection even more intriguing is that this bridge between the visible and the invisible keeps revealing itself in the subtlest layers of existence. Because once you start to notice that hidden codes show up even in your sleep, cycles, your mental states, and your perception of time itself, things that once seemed simple suddenly take on a whole new depth, complexity, and wonder. Many people still believe that time moves in a straight line, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But if you look a little closer, you'll see that life doesn't work like that. Everything moves in cycles, and realizing that can be incredibly freeing. When you finally understand that time isn't your enemy, but your ally, the struggle fades, and you begin to flow with it instead of against it. Nature is always offering clues. Sleep cycles, for example, aren't linear. They follow specific repeating phases. The moon, our ancient companion, waxes, reaches its peak, wanes, and begins again. Even our states of consciousness move in rhythm, from wakefulness to introspection, from action to contemplation. Everything unfolds in curves, loops, and spirals that challenge the simplistic idea of a straight line. And here's the thing, that same pattern shows up in our daily choices. How many times have you found yourself repeating situations from the past? It's not pointless repetition, it's opportunity. A chance to integrate a lesson that may have gone unnoticed the first time. Life moves in spirals, not circles, and each return is an invitation to a deeper understanding. The more aware you become of this flow, the more present and intentional you can be within it, no longer just a spectator dragged by circumstance, but a conscious participant who sees the signs and chooses with clarity. So, the next time you feel like you're back at square one, it's worth asking, what is this moment trying to show me now? Maybe the challenge is an invitation to rise to a new level of insight. Maybe that pause isn't a setback, but a quiet preparation for the next leap forward. Seeing time as an ally, not a tyrant, strips anxiety of its power over you. In practice, living in tune with these cycles can be simpler than it seems. Start by noticing how your energy fluctuates throughout the day. Are there moments when you feel clear and focused, and others when introspection takes over? Honoring those rhythms is a form of biological intelligence. Working with your natural rhythm, not against it, is a powerful way to align action with intuition. It's not about rushing to get somewhere, but about being fully present in each phase. Instead of skipping steps, you live them completely. And that's where true consistency is built. Time stops being a problem and becomes a valuable resource, one you learn to shape according to the depth of your awareness. And it's exactly that awareness that begins to expand once you realize that everything, including yourself, operates in interconnected layers. Layers that link to nature, to emotions, to thoughts, and to the sensations in your body. When you tune into these layers, you begin to understand that your body isn't just a separate organism. It's a living map, an inner system that mirrors this same cyclical intelligence. There's an ancient wisdom, passed down through generations, that says the human being is not made of just one body, but of four. And when we start to see ourselves through that lens, so many things begin to make sense. We have the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body, each with its own function, its own language, and its own essential role in the human experience. The problem is, most of us were only taught to care for the physical body. And that's where imbalance begins, because ignoring any one of these dimensions opens the door to suffering. The physical body is the foundation, connected to the element of earth. It's tied to action, to daily routines, to nourishment and movement. It's the most tangible, the most visible, but not always the most listened to. The emotional body, on the other hand, is connected to the element of water, and it requires a gentler kind of attention. It moves, it flows, it overflows, or runs dry. When we suppress emotions for too long, that inner water becomes stagnant. And that has a direct impact on our vitality, energy, and overall well-being. The mental body, associated with the element of fire, is like the furnace of our ideas. It's what ignites thoughts, builds interpretations, and fuels beliefs. The same beliefs that can either push us forward or hold us back. When this body is out of balance, you might notice that your mind becomes a whirlwind of repetitive thoughts. Or maybe it acts impulsively, like it's being driven by a flickering flame that you can't quite control. Have you ever felt that? That sense that your own thinking traps you in endless mental loops. Now dive into the spiritual body, the one connected to air, the subtlest and lightest element of all, the realm of presence, of connection. Funny how it's often the most neglected. Sometimes all it takes is a moment of silence, a breath, A pause where we allow ourselves to simply be for this dimension to emerge, and when it does, we realize it was always there. Quiet and steady, even when we weren't paying attention. These four bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, don't exist in isolation. They're intertwined, in constant communication, influencing one another in an invisible dance. When the physical body is overloaded, the mind loses clarity. When the mind is drowning in thoughts, emotions become unanchored, unstable. And when emotions are blocked, the physical body shows the signs: aches, fatigue, tension that seems to come out of nowhere. That's why true balance is never fragmented. It has to be holistic. It's not about eliminating parts of yourself, but about integrating each one with awareness, harmony, and respect. How is your body feeling today? Is there any built-up tension? A hunger you've been ignoring? A fatigue that just won't go away? And what about your emotions? Are they being acknowledged, or are they being pushed down? Is your mind focused or scattered, and your spirit? Have you allowed yourself any moments of silence, contemplation, or gratitude lately? Answering these questions might take just 5 minutes, but the impact could shift your entire day, even your life. As you begin to recognize these 4 layers as essential parts of the same being, you naturally start treating them with more care. And the most fascinating part, each one responds when it's truly listened to. The physical body asks for rest or movement. The emotional body wants space to express itself. The mental body craves focus and direction, and the spiritual body longs for connection, whether that's through nature, meditation, art, or simply silence. When these 4 bodies begin to walk in sync, the transformation is profound. You stop living in pieces and start existing as a whole. That's when true energetic alignment begins to happen. Not just as a concept, but as a real felt experience. And that alignment becomes a portal to something greater, conscious manifestation. A lot of people talk about manifestation like it's instant magic, a wish tossed into the universe that materializes out of nowhere. But the truth is far more complex and infinitely more fascinating. Manifestation flows through energetic centers deeply connected to both our body and nature, each linked to one of the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. The most important centers for this process are the root, the heart, the third eye, and the crown. The root center, connected to the earth element, represents safety, presence, and stability, the solid foundation upon which everything else is built. Have you ever tried to manifest something but felt fear, insecurity, or a lack of grounding? Chances are your foundation needs to be strengthened. Simple practices like walking barefoot on the earth, moving your body, or organizing your physical space can be powerful ways to activate this essential center. The heart, associated with water, is the portal of emotions and true surrender. This is where intention deepens and connects with genuine feeling. Manifestation isn't just about wanting something, it's about feeling it, allowing the desire to rise from your essence, from compassion, from presence. Gratitude, empathetic listening, and emotional self-care are practices that unblock this channel and allow energy to flow freely. The third eye, linked to fire, is the center of inner vision, the source of intuition, creative clarity, and the imagination that shapes the unseen. Everything we manifest first begins as a picture in the mind. If that vision is clouded, if you feel lost in doubt or confusion, it might mean this center is blocked. Visualization exercises, guided meditations, and even creative writing can reignite this fire and reveal clearer paths forward. Finally, the crown center, connected to the element of air, is where control dissolves and true surrender begins. It's the space where we stop trying to force outcomes and allow universal intelligence to move with us. This center isn't activated through effort, but through surrender. Meditation, silence, contemplation, time in nature, and conscious breathing are the keys to unlocking it. It reminds us that the universe doesn't respond to commands, but to a state of deep alignment. These four centers form an energetic map that guides conscious manifestation. And here's the core secret. When even one of them is blocked, the entire process slows down or loses strength. Visualization alone isn't enough if your heart isn't feeling the desire. Feeling isn't enough if you're not grounded in the solid base of the earth. And surrendering to the universe doesn't happen without alignment on all these levels. When you understand this coherence between foundation, emotion, vision, and surrender, manifestation stops being a constant struggle and becomes a natural consequence of your internal state. You don't create through force, you create through alignment. And that alignment begins with a deep understanding that your energy centers aren't abstract symbols. They are tangible, sensitive, and most importantly, trainable realities. As you develop mastery over these inner states, something deeper starts to shift within your mind, a silent yet powerful transformation that forever changes how you perceive, think, and feel the world around you. Very few people know this, but the brain functions like a living temple, vibrant and alive, that holds four secret chambers. The brainwave states of beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Each of these frequencies isn't just an electrical pattern, it's a unique dimension of consciousness with its own purpose, its own rhythm, almost like different inner worlds living within us. Now imagine the power you unlock by learning how to consciously navigate these invisible landscapes. This ability transforms your mind from a reactive machine, constantly at the mercy of external stimuli, into a creative, deliberate instrument, capable of shaping your very experience of life. Let's begin with the beta state, the most common and frequent one. This is the state of active wakefulness, alert, logical, focused on solving problems and managing day-to-day tasks. It's where we spend most of our time, answering messages, planning schedules, handling practical matters. But there's a hidden cost to staying stuck in this mode. It's like running an engine on overdrive without ever turning it off. Yes, it gets results, but at the expense of mental and emotional exhaustion. Recognizing when it's time to step out of this state and slow down is a clear sign of emotional intelligence, a sign that you're ready to go deeper. Then comes the alpha state, that subtle threshold between wakefulness and relaxation. Have you ever felt that magical moment during a peaceful walk while listening to soft music, or simply by closing your eyes for a few seconds? That's alpha. In this state, the body slows down, the mind opens to new possibilities, and ideas begin to flow with an almost magical ease. Creating environments that encourage this frequency, like reducing visual clutter or listening to specific sounds, becomes a doorway to a more serene and creative state of flow. But alpha is just the beginning of the journey. There's a deeper realm waiting, the theta state. Here, the rational mind quiets, almost falls asleep, and the subconscious begins to reveal itself. This is the realm of dreams, of hypnosis, of deep internal reprogramming. Imagine being able to access old memories, hidden beliefs, and emotional patterns that shape your life without you even realizing it. Guided meditations, visualizations, affirmations, and slow breathing before sleep are powerful ways to enter this state with intention and awareness, revealing secrets stored in the silence of your mind. And then there's the delta state, the most mysterious and profound of them all. This is where the body enters deep regeneration, and consciousness seems to expand beyond the personal self, touching a dimension of silence and deep healing. We rarely remain consciously aware in this state, but advanced monks and seasoned meditators have learned to access it. Delta is linked to an intimate connection with something greater, a universal intelligence that cannot be captured by ordinary thought. Having high-quality sleep is the most natural and consistent way to visit this state and benefit from its powerful effects. Our mind was designed to shift between these states, like shifting gears in a car, adjusting speed to match the road and the moment. Yet most people get stuck in just one frequency, creating an internal imbalance that manifests as anxiety, stress, or creative blocks. But when you learn to recognize which state you're in and how to navigate between them, your entire mental experience transforms. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and start guiding your mind with calm and intention. Mastering these 4 states isn't some rare gift for the few. It's a powerful ability available to anyone willing to listen to the inner language of the brain. Because the more you understand these hidden codes within the mind, the more you begin to realize something truly liberating. That time, energy, and even reality itself are far more flexible than we've ever been taught to believe. The perception of time, for example, shapes almost everything in our daily experience. From childhood, we're taught to see time as something external and fixed, a clock that never stops. But as our consciousness expands, perception transforms, and we begin to understand time as a mental construct, influenced by our emotional state, attention, and presence. This means that when your internal state changes, your experience of time changes as well. Moments of deep presence seem to stretch out, while periods of stress and anxiety seem to pass in the blink of an eye. It's as if psychological time, the time we feel, is very different from the time measured by the clock. And the more you cultivate presence, the more flexible and malleable time becomes, a resource you don't just live through, but one you can actually dance with. This discovery opens the door to a profound transformation. Time is not something that simply happens to you, but something that responds to your inner state. When you're focused, present, and connected with what you're doing, time gains weight, meaning, and purpose. On the other hand, when your attention is scattered, running on autopilot, time seems to slip away, like sand slipping through your fingers. And here lies one of the most valuable keys to transforming your life: attention. Wherever you direct your attention, your energy flows, and what you feed with energy grows, strengthens, and manifests. That's why repeating negative mental patterns, even subtle ones, often blocks true progress. Sometimes life isn't hard by itself. It's your attention that's out of alignment. Moreover, there's a fundamental point that's often overlooked. The way we perceive the world is never objective. Everything we experience passes first through the filter of our consciousness. Our beliefs, emotions, memories, and expectations shape the reality we see. So, if everything we perceive is an interpretation, changing your inner world deeply alters how you live in the outer world. This understanding leads us to another crucial reflection. External systems only have power over you when you hand your power over to them. Ideas imposed about scarce time, limited success, or constant competition only work as long as you believe in them. It's not about denying these realities, but questioning the narratives we accept as absolute truths. And it's precisely this ability to question, navigate between mental states, and realign your attention that opens the way to a new reality. One where you're not a passenger, but the conscious pilot of your experience. You can live in this world without being shaped by the rules and patterns it insists on imposing. When this perception begins to expand within you, a new reality reveals itself. That rigid structure you were taught isn't an inescapable prison. You're not trapped by it. In fact, you can create your own rhythms, make new choices, and reinvent your interpretations of life. and the most. Surprising part, this doesn't require a dramatic break, a sudden cut, or an instant transformation. What this process asks for is gradual awareness, a subtle awakening. It all starts with a simple act, noticing where your attention has been going so far. What have you been feeding with your energy? How have you been interpreting the events that show up in your life? It's these small adjustments in focus that, over time, can lead to huge transformations, almost imperceptible at first, but powerful when they add up. And here's a little-known secret. As your perception of time changes, you realize you no longer need to control every detail around. The real need is to align with what's already happening inside you. It's in this space, in that delicate balance between perception, energy, and action, that the true opening to a freer, more authentic life is born. That freedom, however, only becomes real when you go beyond intellectual understanding and start living what you've learned. Knowing isn't enough, and this is exactly where many stumble on the path of self-knowledge. It's easy to gather concepts, watch videos, understand theories, but if that knowledge doesn't translate into action, nothing truly changes. True transformation comes from lived experience, from what you practice every day, not just what you read or hear. Many people wake up to patterns, recognize cycles, identify blocks, yet remain stuck in the same behaviors, not for lack of willpower, but because a real activation hasn't happened yet. And what does activation mean? It means stepping out of an old internal state. It's when your consciousness stops being a mere observer and starts guiding every choice, every move. This activation begins with small, conscious acts. If you notice that you're always putting others first and getting exhausted, the first practice is learning to say no with more presence, with more self-respect. If you've understood that your focus creates reality, the next step is choosing more carefully where to direct your attention. It's not about revolutionizing everything at once. Real change happens when you bring a new perspective to what you're already doing. That's where alignment becomes key. It's not enough to act out of impulse, pressure, or external expectation. What you do needs to be in harmony with what you feel, think, and believe. When there's coherence between intention, emotion, and behavior, everything flows with much less resistance. Don't seek perfection. Seek coherence. It's this coherence that turns simple actions into powerful movements that create real impact in your life. Sometimes it's enough to change your posture, to do the same task, whether working, studying, or talking. But now, with a different presence, more attention, more listening, and a living awareness of the present moment. This kind of active presence starts to transform even your most mundane routines, because it's not what you do that matters, but the state you're in while doing it. That state shapes the energy you emit, which comes back to you in surprising ways. Another crucial point is consistency. Transformation doesn't happen from a single effort, a one-off practice hoping for miracles. True activation requires repetition, gentle discipline, and above all, honesty with yourself, recognizing what works, what doesn't, and adjusting your path as needed. Meditation, mindful breathing, journaling, physical movement, personal rituals, all of these can be powerful supports as long as they're aligned with what you truly need at each stage of your journey. And when that coherence begins to take root day by day, something magical happens. Reality starts to respond differently, synchronicities increase, obstacles make more sense, and your sense of purpose grows stronger. That's when you stop being a mere spectator of life's code and start living it from the inside out, not as someone trying to control everything, but as someone who's learned to move with life, honoring its natural flows and rhythms. Remember, no true transformation ever starts from the outside in. It always begins with a new way of seeing, of perceiving. And when that vision changes, the journey doesn't end, it only deepens, revealing new horizons. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this video touched something inside you, I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel. Share this message with others who might benefit from this awakening. And don't forget, leave your comment below, sharing your thoughts, insights, and experiences. Your voice is an essential part of this exchange. Once again, thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself and see you soon. Now, as we reach the end of this revealing expedition, I want to express my deepest gratitude to you for staying with us until the end. Your dedication and curiosity are the fuel that drives us to explore, demystify, and share these intriguing stories. I want to share something special with you. As a fan of the Map of Higher Self channel, you are about to embark on a unique journey of self-discovery and mental formation. I present to you the Map of Higher Self, a revolutionary ebook that will redefine your mental reality. As the creator of this content and leader of the Map of Higher Self channel, I'm sharing my deepest experiences and valuable lessons with you. Each chapter of this ebook is a reflection of my journey, filled with practical lessons I've lived and transformed into wisdom. Don't miss this opportunity to transform your life. Click the link in the pinned comment and start your journey towards self-knowledge and positivity today. Imagine yourself for a moment as one of the ancient explorers who ventured into unknown territories, guided only by the flame of curiosity and the thirst for knowledge. Every piece of information, every symbol deciphered, is like a map leading us deeper into the labyrinth of the unknown. And just like those explorers, you too are now a little closer to the truth, carrying with you a new understanding of the forces that shape our world. Your presence here is not just a personal achievement, but a valuable contribution to a vibrant community of curious and knowledge-seeking individuals. Every view, every comment, every like is a step we take together toward a deeper and collective understanding. You are not just a spectator, you are a partner in this journey of discovery. So, as we close this chapter, I invite you to reflect on today's revelations and prepare for the next steps. We will continue unraveling secrets, questioning established truths, and exploring the mysteries around us. Your participation is essential, not just for the growth of this channel, but for the expansion of our horizon of knowledge. Until the next discovery. And remember, the real power lies in questioning and understanding what is beyond the visible. And before you go, don't miss these 2 videos I've selected especially for you. They're packed with deep knowledge and fascinating discoveries that you'll love. Click on one of them and continue your journey of self-discovery and the pursuit of wisdom with the amazing content our channel has to offer.